We're back. We have Doors of Perception. Doors of Perception.
Self-titled song.
This is coming out of the UK. Alright. This is by Potent Prophet and Prime Sinister. Are the rappers on this one. So
is that the song name and the album then?
I think Doors of Perception is the name of the album, and then they have the Doors of Perception song on the album.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and it was produced by Leaf Dog. So let's check out and see what Doors of Perception is about. And
here we go.
You can't have an object without a subject, or a subject without an object. You can't have something known without the knower. And that gives the show away. There isn't any real distinction between the knower and the known. There's two ways of looking at something, yes. Two poles of a single process. But the knower and the known are subsumed as the knowing. And all life is knowing, being, becoming.
Because if you discover a blind alley, it tells you something. Now we will do the same thing.
Lurid machines, purist allurement redeems. Curious nooses are shooting the scenes. Glorious blueprints between. Spurious musings are brutish and stupid routines. Saluting elusive regimes. Colluding with rubrics of cupids and putrid ravines. Elusively lucid careen. Eluding intruders to loosened and scrupled marines. Included in fluid cuisine. Ruined in humid and fluent recruitment of green. Using the gruesomest screens. Disputing inducement has muted the fusion between amusements delusively seen. Solutions of sewage, the truants are shooting the trees. Eschewing the nuisance demeans. Beduling the fluent with mucus and ruling supreme.
Doors of perception, more than your awkward conceptions. More than your tortured reflections. More than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and seconds.
Doors of perception, more than your awkward conceptions. More than your tortured reflections. More than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and seconds.
Yo, it's torture, ought to extort for supporters. Thought to contort the disorder. Thought they resort to the border. Forge the extort, the enforcer. Forced to absorb a marauder. Cabal as they soared to the slaughter. Courts were informed by the swords on informers. Brought to the shores as they poured to the water. Forged the engorging, disgorging disorder.
Doors of perception, more than your awkward conceptions. More than your tortured reflections. More than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and seconds.
Doors of perception, more than your awkward conceptions. More than your tortured reflections. More than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and seconds.
Maxims of swell, captains of action at will. Phantoms are shackled in fraction with skill. Distractions are sanctioned by shields. Scandalous factions are panic when tapped to rebuild. Matchboxes patched to the hill. Snapshots of backdrops of crackpots that crack when fulfilled. Handling batches of quills. Channeling backwards to actors that vanquish the shrill.
Doors of perception, more than your awkward conceptions. More than your tortured reflections. More than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and seconds.
Doors of perception, more than your awkward conceptions. More than your tortured reflections. More than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and
Gift
seconds.
of the gap, restriction of thinking on slabs. Enlisting of instincts, relinquishing gaps. The twisted, enriching attacks. Wilted like misfits, encrypting and scripting the facts. Gilded when building en masse. Tilted when shrinking with plaques. Delinquent extinction is stacked. Persistent existence attacked. Intrinsically thinking and blinking to black.
Doors of perception, more than your awkward conceptions. More than your tortured reflections. More than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and seconds.
Doors of perception, more than your awkward conceptions. More than your tortured reflections. More than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and seconds.
Cauldron from hell, molten corrosion and smells of potions awoken and broken by spells. Emotions are spoken and woven as well, and colons are swollen and stolen as gel. golden and frozen by omens that dwell. With showman's devotion, implosions repel. Explosions, the slogans can hope to dispel. Beholden by tokens, unbroken in hell.
Laws of perception, more than your awkward conceptions, more than your tortured reflections, more than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and seconds.
Laws of perception, more than your awkward conceptions, more than your tortured reflections, more than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and seconds.
Laws of perception, more than your awkward conceptions, more than your tortured reflections, more than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and seconds.
Laws of perception, more than your awkward conceptions, more than your tortured reflections, more than your torpid and warping deceptions. Lauded, important, applauded with plaudits and seconds.
Thanks, Phil.
Just like I was saying in the last video, that has a old school hip hop flow beat to it.
Sure it does. That is old school.
Like
right
it feels like you're back in the early mid '90s. You know, like it feels like back in the days when everybody had the crank windows, middle of the summer. You bumping this,
you bumping it.
You know, going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like cruising back in the day when we used to cruise.
Straight bobbing.
Just mobbing and bobbing. This is for y'all. You 4 deep. This was back when even if everybody had a car, you would roll together because it was the hanging out or the chilling that was more important instead. Good.
I would say feels right. This beat does feel very 90s. Very, very 90s feel to it.
Man.
One, I definitely appreciate the lyricism. I caught a few of the metaphors in there, which was a little difficult for some. I don't know who has the lighter voice of the two rappers. Someone has a deeper voice, and I can understand what you're saying. But someone had a lighter voice. And the beat was just a little bit too in pitch with their voice.
Well, I think that has more to do with the overall levels because you can adjust unless he's talking in his like regular volume. Then it would take a little more adjusting. But I mean that's literally just hey, well he's here, the beat's here, he needs to be here.
I love the metaphors. I love the lyricism, and the beat's very nostalgic.
And they stuck with a similar rhyme scheme. Yeah, like it's hard to keep that up.
Yeah,
with multiple syllables.
Multiple syllables and two different people. And
the back and forth was amazing.
Yeah, they kept it going.
Like I like the fact that they didn't just like one whole verse me. The chorus, one whole verse. They was doing like 8 bars, like half a verse in the chorus. You get a half verse in the chorus. So it seemed like the song was longer than it was.
Yeah,
5 minutes.
Yep.
It's a 5-minute song, and it felt like they took you on a journey.
Because you're constantly hearing either a rap or a hook.
Or the chorus, yeah. And again, that wasn't like the other that one song we was talking about earlier. It's not repeating the same 4 words over and over again. Like it sounds the same.
Yeah.
So it's making your mind listen to the difference.
Yeah.
Like the syllables, A B C D, like every single, and it always ended, the way that the first line ended. Exception, perception, deception, inception. You know what I'm saying? Like. So when you hear that, it's like, oh, is it the same word? And while the next line is being said, you're like, oh, that's a different word. While the next line is being said, you're still analyzing this one mentally. Oh, that's a different word. That's tight. Because you're expecting, you want it to rhyme because of pattern recognition, but you're like, okay, well, you can only go so far. But if you have a whole verse, a whole hook that has rhyming words and syllables, like it's almost like a loop of the same sound, but you add different stuff each time. You know,
each time.
That's the little the potter's wheel. Like it starts off a lump, and at the end, like every time it rotates, you do something different. You know, it's still the same lump of clay. Spread it out, whatever. Like, but every time it's spinning, it's something different is being happened to it.
Yeah, it's like I said, that was the only issue I had with the song. Someone had a lighter voice, and it was too close to the level of the actual beat. Just that little,
and it's like regular voice.
Yeah.
I'm talking. You know, a little bit harder on some of the syllables, the beginning and the end syllables, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but other than that, if that's how he raps, just
drop his beat.
Regular voice, either drop the beat or really just raise his volume, because the beat, your ear can pick up if the sound of the beat itself drops, because that's the only thing that's consistent.
Yeah, I think that's.
They should have just raised his up just a little bit.
A little bit, just so it wouldn't match that high pitched sound in the beat. Anyways, rather than that, like I said, that beat was very nostalgic though.
Yes,
very 90s.
And it made you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
Like you can hear the instrumental and you automatically, man,
instantly
this is me cruising. Daytime, nighttime, windows down, whatever. Sunroof, if you got one, it's open.
Yep. That's gonna do it for this reaction. Head to the Patreon, support your boy. Link will be in the description below. I'm Nixon. Phil.
Peace.
And we out.